Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugende mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Uganda is born again.
Mubirabye. Mubiwulidde.
And you will see what NRM means. We are going to crush those criminals.
Mubyenyigiddemu.
We are simply peacefully telling our people, say no to rigged elections.
Ebimu mubitegeera.
Naffe tusobola okutiisatiisa abo abatiisatiisa.
Oba oli awo ng'abamu mugwamu bigwe. Byabaffe byava ku ki?
Era kyova olaba baatukolera ne constitution esinga obusiru mu nsi yonna.
Bino n'ebirala birindirire buli lwa Sande okuva ku ssaawa 11 okutuuka ku ssaawa 1 ey'akawungeezi n'eyaliko Katikkiro wa Buganda Oweekitiibwa Dani Muliika ku program Eriiso ly'Omukulu ku Facebook page The Alternative Uganda.
The world is at a critical moment of providing innovative alternatives as a means to create change.
As such, we have created a not-for-profit alternative mobile digital platform as a way to promote space for freedom of speech and expression to the unheard voices.
We know you believe in the cause and you can further it more by contributing to its sustainability in forms of internet data, fuel and any other support you deem relevant.
Please support us with your contribution to Equity Bank account number 103-5201-607252 under the name Alternative Digital, or our mobile money numbers 0702-900076 or 0783-047785. Alternative Digital, real issues, real talk.
Fellow Ugandans, during this period when the country is living amid this COVID-19 pandemic, we preach peace among family members and community, end gender-based violence. Stay safe from COVID-19 during election campaigns by following the Ministry of Health guidelines. This message is brought to you by Uganda Women Parliamentary Association, UOPA, and UN Women with funding from EU Spotlight Initiative.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hello, good morning. Munatusonyiwamukko bannange ebisobyemu olunaku lwo lwakusatu enaku z'omwezi ya 3 awo omwaka 2020 tubala bubazi kati tetubala na lunaka tubala saawa 2020 ogikuba olukumu mutwe egwe wali naye ate mutusonyiwe mukaka akayiseemu nja kubetondera nti ebyuma by'omuzungu bituuka ekiseera ne bikwekyangirako ne bwoba weewaana nti obimanyi nnyo bituuka ekiseera ne byekyanga so naye njagala okubakakasa tukomyewo bulungi and we are live on Facebook genda ku mu search engine tekamu the Alternative Uganda ogenda kubanga ate otufuna bulungi follow and like the page obeere nti munnange oyiga kuba olwaleero tugenda kuyiga nze buli lwe tuleeta omukugu nkugamba bugambi nti peeni n'olupapula byoba okwata nga owuliriza eno program kuba ogenda kufunamu ekyokuyiga. Farida Bikobere is my name. We have COUNSEL OCITTI Samuel in the studios. We are going to be talking taxes. Taxes omuntu afuna di tax exemption. Obadde okimanyi tebasobola okujja osobola ofuna tax exemption oba obadde tokimanyi. Oba obadde tokimanyi beerako omukugu agenda kubanga ate abinyonyola bulungi. Today in the studios I have Mukose Arnold Anthony kababuuzeeko. Then omugenyi waffe atweyanjulire once again. Welcome to the show. This is the Mighty Drive.
Yes, kode bakagwa abakateze ebiweito twebaza kibumbu wa mu weekend okuba nti atwikiriza okuba olwaleero nti tuli balamu era nga tuli maiso ge olwaleero nti tuwulizaganya bangi balamba ere nga bakalamu ayibwidire okuuna kuncho nga nembuyaga edifuuga era mu mbeera n'endala eno tutwala okunona kwaife eniike oba oli awo n'okungubagala ne famire ab'emikwano ab'enganda edamuna bya bikonde nakinku zebra senyange ekiteebezo bati yakuyibwa amasasi obwire obukiisa olwaleero era yafa so tusaba ebitongole ebikuuma idembe nti bana okuyita abantu kubitiriire bana Uganda bali kufa mu mbeera tetegereka so buli muntu ayina engeri gy'asobola okukuuma muna Uganda tusaba nti bambi kuba muna Uganda muffe kyokutwala obulamu bwe so muna byamizaano muna bikonde zebra senyange kibiino nti yakubibwa amasasi era nga sawa dino nembuyaga edifuuga aye ekintu kireba kwebeza Katonda olwayiwali akayo obulamu nimwe abafunye okusoomoozebwa era mumwegeme musabe atusaasire atubiseemu mu mbeera neeyo I cross back to Buganda tusanyuse tulina omugenyi lwaleero era nga munamateeka lawyer lecturer ate nga mukugu mu by'emisolo agenda kubanga atubuulira omusolo kyeki ye mpadde omusolo lwaki mpa omusolo ngubala ntya emisonga bwezi tambula ku misolo banyi musasula emisolo temumanyi lwaki musasula emisolo temumanyi mugaso gwazo temumanyi omuntu obbadde omusolo gavumenti ekuvunaana etya ekuvunaana ddi era ekwata etya bangi musimagolinga oba mukukusa ebyamaguzi naye nga temumanyi nti mukukusa oba oli awamu ne babala mu ffuulo byonna anaaba abituyisizaamu naffe tugenda okuvaano nga naffe tumanyi okwebalira emisolo gyaffe mu kaduuka akafaawo otudde golowooza nti akaduuka k'emitwalo 20 tekasula musolo byonna anaaba bitubuulira ye COUNSEL OCITTI SAMUEL agenda tubanga atunyonyola atubuulire ye bino ebintu ebiyingiramu atya kuba abantu abamu ebintu ebirimu ebibalo babitya so COUNSEL, good morning. Nice meeting you and thanks for sparing your time and very early in the morning you really are a tax collector and a tax expert. You know how to handle we who are tax non-compliant. At least you in time so that otherwise greetings to our audience.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. As you said, time is everything in this country of ours. If you want to make it in life, you have to follow time. When tell you the show starts at 7, you have to be around 7, 8, yeah. Rather 6:50.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, and let's have a chat.
Yes. COUNSEL, what is tax or what are taxes? Because for us we just see a tax. What are the things of taxes and tax?
Well, tax basically is a compulsory levy that government gives upon every individual, every person, basing on what activity you do. Tax is a creature of statute. If government wants you to pay them money, they must first go to parliament and make a law telling you that we need you to pay such an amount and the procedure of how to collect that tax. Okay? It's the duty of every citizen of Uganda to pay tax. One of the duties enshrined in the Constitution, Article 17 of the Constitution provides for that. Every individual, including you and me, it's our duty to pay tax. How tax is supposed to be collected is the preserve of the state, of government, not an individual to come to you and tell you, I want you to pay this tax, and I take to government. Okay? Tax is the creature of statute, and it's supposed to be collected by the government.
So who determines the tax a person is meant to pay?
Under our legal regime, Parliament is empowered by the Constitution to make laws. for the provision of tax administration in Uganda. Under that law, under that provision, Parliament made several laws which entitles them to collect tax from you and empowers you to pay those taxes. Okay? For example, we have Income Tax Act, Cap I think 340. We have excise duty. We have East African Customs Management Act.
Domestic
taxes, yes, but that is falling under income tax and other heads of tax. Now, these statutes I'm talking about lays down the procedures of how the tax is supposed to be assessed. Okay, collection is done under a tax head called the Tax Procedure Code Act. Now, that lays down the procedures of how the URI will determine the tax to be paid. Okay. For example, under the Income Tax Act, we have what we loosely translate, people normally call it pay as you earn. Yes. Now, pay as you earn is a word which is used to mean income tax on employment. Okay. Now, under the Income Tax Act, there are basically three broad areas of taxation. Under Section 4 of that act, it provides that everyone who has chargeable income is supposed to pay tax. Okay? What you call income tax on every person who has chargeable income. Now, what is chargeable income? The same act defines chargeable income, I think, in Section 15. It says that chargeable income is the combination of employment income, business income, and property income. Okay? Now, if you earn money, income basically is money coming from money coming into your pockets. Okay?
Yes.
If you earn money, if money comes into your pocket as a result of your employment, you're supposed to pay income tax on that salary you're getting, or whatever money you're getting as a result of employment. If you're doing business,
I have my small shop.
Yes, you have your small shop. You're making money. You're receiving money as a result of your shop. You're supposed to pay tax on that. You
have my rentals.
We'll talk about that later. Rental is a bit different.
Okay.
It's still under income tax, but it's provided for differently. It's not under chargeable income. Yes. Now, if you, like you've said, rental tax is charged under Section 5 of that act. Every person who has a rental property is supposed to pay rental tax. I heard yesterday, I was watching the president as he was making his addresses, and he mentioned that we don't have rental tax. And I was like, really? Because the act provides for it.
Yes.
Yes. Everyone who has rental property, in the same vein, is supposed to pay taxes on those properties. Okay? The rate of tax differs depending on whether you are an individual doing tax, or rather doing business, or
a company.
Remember, in the beginning, I talked about a person. Now, under our tax regime, a person is either an individual,
or a
company, or a partnership, or a trust. The list goes on and on and on.
So, Council, right from there, how much, if I'm earning salary, at how much do I begin paying my pay?
Thank you. Under the Income Tax Act, like we started, before you go and ask me how much am I supposed to pay, okay? Under the law, there are, as I was trying to explain, I think I didn't finish. Chargeable income is the total of employment income, business income, and property income. But you've zeroed in employment. That's where the question is.
Yes.
How much do you pay? Okay. Now, under the section, I think 18 or 19 of the Act. Sorry, I don't have my Act of it. It provides for employment income. Everyone who makes money as a result of employment is supposed to pay A, B, C, D taxes. Now, chargeable income means the gross of all those three heads of items I've mentioned, minus allowable deductions. Okay? As we move on, the law will tell you that not everything is supposed to be taxed. Okay? For example, you've gotten money to eat food. That shouldn't be taxed.
That shouldn't
be taxed. Now, you need to look at your employment. You give us all form of benefit that you get as a result of your employment.
Okay.
Now,
Counsel, if I am a waitress working in a bar and I am receiving salary of 100, for as long as it is salary, I am meant to pay tax.
as I was going there, if I could finish.
Yeah.
There are things that are supposed to be taxed, then there are others that are not supposed to be taxed. And under the Income Tax Act, not only salary is supposed to be taxed, okay?
Yes.
They tax even other things. In employment, benefits are also supposed to be taxed, okay? It's not only salary. Salary is one of the things that are taxed, but even benefits you get as a result of employment. I'll give you an example. You will see people who come to work. They are given a car to drive.
Yes.
They are given a house. Yes. Medical bills. Now, depending on the particular you've gotten out of your contract, those benefits are supposed to be taxed. Okay. Even if you have not been given cash, under the Act, we look for the market value of the benefit as is provided for in the law. And the benefit, less any contributions you've made, it's supposed to be taxed. Okay? The formula is there. But to bring it down to your question, you are a waitress in a bar and you earn 100,000 a month. Do you pay tax? The answer could be yes, it could be no. But in a nutshell, under the Income Tax Act, there are, I think in the third schedule, income tax on employment is progressive. Okay, what do I mean progressive? The more you earn, the more you pay, the more the tax you pay. Okay, now there is a threshold that if you earn salary less than this amount, you're not supposed to pay tax. Okay, per annum is 2.820,000, 2,820,000. If you want to get it in 2 monthly, you divide that by 12, which will bring, I think, 230-something thousand or 40-something thousand. It's in the third schedule to the Act. Now, if your salary is below that money, that threshold, you don't pay tax. It is money you put in your pocket. Okay. Secondly, even if you earn more than that, okay, that money is what is supposed to be put in your pocket tax-free. You get that money, put in the pocket. Then we wait look at the balance now. How much is the balance? Let's assume your salary is 500,000. Okay? Bring that threshold, put it in the pocket. What will be the balance? It will be around 200 something or 180 something. Now, that is what we apply the relevant rate of tax on. Now, the rate of tax also differs. If you earn from 2,820,000 to 4 something, you pay 10%. From that figure to 4.9, you pay 20%. From that figure to, I think, 30 something, I forget. I will refresh my memories. I don't know if it's allowed.
No, it's fine.
Yes, so if I could get it from the Act.
Abalabi baffe twebaza tukyagenda maaso nga omukugu waffe council bwagezaako okutuwa facts kuba omanyi bwe n'amateeka tebakolera ku mbu bayagala nnyo okwogera ng'alina bwino gw'alabako so tukyagenda maaso tukyasoma ku misolo abamu tebali twemulugunya gavumenti ensasula z'omusolo mungi gavumenti yanzibya omusolo gavumenti naye nga lwakuba nti obuzibu naffe tetumanyi oluusi tuba tuli mu butamanya. Council katwale maaso. Hoping Council you've got it. Yes.
Okay. As I was saying, the third schedule of the Income Tax Act provides for these scales. The more you earn, the more tax you pay. Okay. They're saying if you earn money not exceeding 2.820,000, which translates to 235,000 a month, you don't pay any tax. It's free. Okay. If it exceeds 2,820,000, which is 235 per month, but less than 4,020,000, okay, you pay 10% on that money. Now remember, the tax you're paying is on the difference between the first one and the second one. Okay. Number 3, if your income exceeds 4,020,000, okay, but does not exceed 4,920,000. Again, the difference between 4,020,000 and 4,090,000, you pay 20% on that money, okay? Then, when it exceeds 4,920,000 upwards, you pay 30% on the difference again, okay? Now, the law goes ahead and tells you that if you reach 120 million, we get a different figure for you. Okay? Now from 4.9 million up to 120 million, 30% tax. Okay? Now if it is more than 120 million to infinity, okay? Yes. The law says you pay additional 10% on whatever is exceeding the 120 million. Okay? Now you remember 10%, yeah, that figure is there. 20%, 30%, and the additional 10%. So in a day, if you earn more than 120 million, your tax would be in 30-something million. Okay? Now, this is not only on a salary, as you've asked.
Yes.
So I hope I've made that clear. There are also benefits that are taxed.
So now, in an event that Mr. Ochidi and the company, Ochidi and the company hires my services monthly, but I have benefits like maybe have transport allowances, have accommodation, I have medical. How is this quantized into cash so that my common person can understand better that if they are evaluating me, these are the basics and the basis of my taxes?
Thank you. I want to take you to section 2022, and the value of the benefits are in the 5th schedule to the Act. Okay? Now, basically, in a nutshell, the benefit you get, we shall take the monetary value at the time you received it, minus any contribution you've given towards that benefit. Okay? I've had examples where you given a car, but you make monthly contribution towards that car.
Yeah, so no higher purchase.
Not higher purchase per se, but you contribute to the welfare or to the management or to the servicing of the car.
Fuel, servicing, tires.
Yes, not fuel so much, but tires maybe, yes. Those are the contributions you make towards the asset. Okay? Again, not every benefit is supposed to be taxed. Okay? For example, your cost of commuting from home to work, if we pay for your taxi services, that is
as transport
allowance to come to work, that should not be deducted. I would rather not should not be taxed. If you are an expatriate, we paid for your coming to work from Kenya to Uganda, that is not supposed to be taxed. Ordinarily, it's a benefit to you. Had it not been for the employment, you wouldn't have received it. Yeah, that should not be deducted. But then there are other expenditures or other benefits that are supposed to be deducted. Okay? For example, burial contribution. You've lost your, God forbid, you've lost someone you know. The company says, you know what, we are sorry for your loss. Here, 500,000 to facilitate burial. That is supposed to be deducted. Those falls under category of what we know as private and domestic expenditures. Okay? It's supposed to be taxed rather. Supposed to be taxed under your employment income. Now, if we have given you 500,000, okay, that would be the value of that gift or the benefit you've received. So 500,000 will be added to the 100,000 that you earn at the end of the month. Okay? You have a maid. The company pays your maid. The company pays your electricity bills. Yeah? All those are supposed to be taxed. The value is what the company has actually paid, minus if you have contributed anything towards that, that's what is supposed to be taken.
Council, in an event that much is spent on utilities and benefits than salaries, and at the end of the day, maybe my salaries or my salary can't value the taxes that I'm required of, what befalls me? For example, I get all the benefits, but my salary is maybe 300 per month. And the tax, if calculated, I'm in like 290. What's the rationale in between there?
I don't know if I get your question, but you're saying if you
the benefits, if valued, are much more higher than the real salaries.
No.
How do they
measure? No. As I told you in the beginning, let's not focus only on salary, okay? Employment income are all the monies you've received as a result of your employment. So it is not only on salary. Now, let's go back to our example of 500,000 for burial. That one is supposed to be taxed. Now, your salary is 100,000. We are going to add plus 500,000, meaning at the end of the month, your employment income will be 500,000. That's where you're going to pay tax, on 500,000, not 100,000. Okay? Now, the presumption is that for expenditures which are domestic and private in nature, you shouldn't deprive the government of those revenues. Pay that money. It doesn't. The government is not concerned on how you use that money. Okay? It's not concerned how you use the money. If you went for burial, yes, it has helped you, but it is not related to. Actually, the government is trying to cut down unnecessary expenses in the name of running a business, okay, or running an employment, whatever the case might be. Okay. Now, let's assume you've asked a question. In case you have more tax than your salary, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. For example, your salary is your entire income.
Okay. My monthly OCITTI and the company pays me 500. But when we calculate housing,
basically the allowable deductions
are more than
your salary.
My salaries. What's the rationale? How do they calculate? How do I pay so that I don't deprive the government?
Okay, two things. Number one, there are instances where the tax assessed is more than your chargeable income.
Yes.
Okay. Then there are instances where the tax assessed is less than your chargeable income. Okay. Now, let's go with the second one. If the taxes you pay is less than your chargeable income, meaning you have money remaining, you pay that tax. Okay? It could be monthly for the case of employment income, which you don't actually hold the money. We shall talk about that maybe later. Your employer pays it for you. Now, let's come back to the first item, that your tax assess is more than your income.
Your chargeable.
Yes. Now, under the Income Tax Act, I think section 38 or 37, there's something we call carry forward losses. Okay? A carry forward loss is where the tax assessed is more than the chargeable income. Okay? Now, that difference, the one which is more, the amount which is more than your employment income, is supposed to be carried forward to the next financial year, and it will be allowed as a deduction. A tax to government, which you're supposed to pay to government, will be allowed as a deduction in the next financial year, meaning if it is more with 100,000, in the next financial year, the first thing to be deducted off your chargeable income, of your gross income, is
the balance.
The balance which was supposed to have been paid the other time. Yes. I hope I have tried to answer you.
Now, in an event that it is concurrent for 3 years, and indeed, my books of account are clean.
Okay, this is the practical approach. Close business, you're running on a loss. But the law doesn't give a caption, 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. So long as the tax assess is being more than your chargeable income, it's supposed to be allowed as a deduction.
Okay, I hope our audience, our viewers there, you're picking a point or two, because indeed, most of us are complaining, I'm overtaxed, I'm this and that, but at least I think we're getting a point here. Counsel, you talked of several kinds of taxes, but around here we on income. I'm a farmer, but all of my products are sold in the garden. I don't go to the market, but my company is registered, which I'm supposed to pay taxes, because I have a registered company which is Mukose, farming, something. But all my products don't exceed my garden. How does the government evaluate my taxes?
Okay. As I started in the beginning, it is an obligation. It's your duty as a citizen of the country to pay your taxes.
Yes, I'm willing. I want to pay.
Yes,
but I don't know how much.
I'm coming to that. If you don't know how much it is, yes. Now, a company is a person who is supposed to pay tax. Now, upon registration, you're supposed to register for taxes. Okay? Now, you register for taxes. After registration, you acquire what we call a TIN, tax identification number. Yes. It is not TIN number. Yeah. It is a TIN. Okay? You're supposed to acquire a TIN. Now, once you have a TIN, you're supposed to file annual returns or monthly returns. Okay? In some instances, to a bigger extent, the URA does not even need to visit your businesses. They don't need to come to your farm to see how much was your input or output. Okay? What URA does, they rely on the returns that you filed to give you an assessment. Okay? Most of the trouble you see around is because people don't file their returns. And then when you don't file a return, the URA will send you their own assumption. That basing on our assumption, we think you have made this money. Okay? That is called a default assessment. You have defaulted on your duty and they're sending you an assessment. Now, once you've been given an assessment, you're supposed to pay. If you don't pay, they will take other mechanisms to recover that money from you. We shall look at all those other avenues. Tax is a debt to the government which is recovered summarily. Summary procedure, you just recover. I don't know how I can explain it, but in the legal field, I think our listeners know what I'm talking about. Tax is a debt to the government which is recovered summarily. There are other avenues. They could come and close your shop. Business. They could seize your property.
The auctioneer.
Yeah, yes, they can come and seize your property. Now, when your property is seized, they have to sell it in a public auction. They can issue agency notice. Yes.
Publications.
No, not necessarily. A recent example is the case of Sunday Monday versus URA. In that case, this guy, there were some objections he raised, but then the issue was he had money, we're supposed to pay to URA. Now, URA has powers to ask bank holding your money to pay them. It's what we call the agency notice. Okay? It will ask the bank to be its agent to collect that money from you.
Whatever deposit is just transferred.
No, whatever is there in the account, they transfer to URA. And in that case, that guy lost about $800,000 was paid to URA. And then he came crying, why did you pay my money without my notice? Exactly. So those are other instances. Now, if you are a farmer, you file your returns. However, there are so many deductions or so many advantages in the agricultural sector. There are a lot of agricultural products that are not supposed to be subjected to tax. Okay?
Now, Council, what are tax returns? Because I might be not knowing that indeed this is what I'm supposed to pay, but I'm willing to pay. Two, how do I how do I file my returns if I'm a farmer, or even if I'm not a farmer? But now today I'm very green in the business. I've registered my company. I don't know what to do, but I'm required to file returns. What are these returns, and how do I calculate or evaluate my returns that I'm supposed to file?
Okay, returns are monthly or annual submissions you make to the Revenue Authority on the basis which they assess you to pay taxes. Returns, unfortunately, tax is, law generally is not cheap. I should be honest with you. Ignorance of the law is no defense. Yes. I hope you know that. Yes. So if you cannot plead that I didn't know A, B, C, D, it's not a defense. Now, if you are a registered taxpayer, the duty is on you to prepare those submissions and file. Normally, you can engage the services of a tax agent or a tax practitioner to help you file these returns. Okay? These returns could comprise of your financial statement, accounting statement, you know accounting, you could say I've invested 5 million, I have collected 7 million, I've made a profit of 2 million, but in between I also bought chemicals, I hired people to dig the garden, to uproot, to transport. You put those expenses there. Those are basically the returns you submit.
With facts?
Now, yes, with facts. If there are receipts, you attach receipts. Okay. Now, those are the things that the commissioner will look at and say, okay, you've made, in a total, you've made 5 million, but you've also spent on spraying. You've also spent on digging, transport, A, B, C, D. Then they'll look at the law. Are these transactions allowed as deductions? At the end of the day, you might realize you're only left with about 1 million or 2 million. That is the basis upon which tax is paid.
But also, most small-scale businesses do not keep their financial records. How does the tax body compute their liability?
Okay, thank you. It's a general rule. Most small businesses don't, even large companies, they don't keep their records. Okay? The government came with the view that there were so many issues being raised. For example, our traders in Kiseka, they sell spare parts in a day. Even themselves, they may not know how much they have earned.
Yes.
Yeah? Not leave alone keeping record, but on a mutual basis, they may not know how much they have. Now, the government came with something we called a presumptive tax mechanism. Okay? Under section, I think 4 subsection 5 provides for presumptive tax. Now, presumptive tax is on businesses, okay, whose turnover, annual turnover, is less than 150 million. Okay? Now, if your annual turnover is less than 150 million, the presumption of the law is that you cannot keep your records. Okay? Then they will presume for you your expenses. Yes? They will presume that you've incurred expenses, but now the rate of tax is going to be this. Okay? If you look at the act, it is provided for, I think, in the 3rd schedule, first paragraph or something like that. It provides for all those presumptions. For example, if you now in that schedule, it has the threshold again. From 50 to 150 is treated differently. But if your gross turnover is less than 50 million, also is treated differently. Okay? And if your annual threshold is less than 50 million, it will now, the amount of tax you pay, it will be based on the area of where you'd carry on business. If you carry out business in Kansanga, your tax definitely will be different from someone carrying on business in Katanga or in Muyenga or in what? Yes. Actually, it is 2nd schedule, part 1. It provides that where the gross turnover of a taxpayer exceeds 50 million, okay, but less than 75 million, you pay 937,500 or 1.5%, whichever is lesser. The idea is that you pay less tax. So if 937,500 is less than 1.5% of your gross turnover, you go with one which is less. Either way, you either pay the 900 or 1.5%. It goes on and on and on. From 75 to 100, you pay 1,312,500 or 1.5%, whichever is lesser. Now, part 2 is where the interest is. The amount of tax payable for that subsection, blah, blah, blah. Now, if your turnover is less than 50 million shillings, we're talking about annual turnover. For a whole year, you've sold your products and it is less than 50 million, the entire year. The rate of tax depends on the city, Kampala city and divisions. Also, municipalities are provided for differently. Town and trading centers are provided for also differently. Let's take an example of a municipality. Okay, let's say now Mbale is a city. I was thinking of Mbale municipality, but now Mbale is a city. If it is a municipality, you do general trade in a municipality. General trade is merchandise. Where the gross turnover exceeds 35 million but does not exceed 50 million, you pay 500,000 shillings, blah, 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 blah. But if you are in Kampala City Division, also it's different. Hair and beauty, you pay differently. Drug shops, differently. Yes. Carpentry, metal workshops pay differently. Garages, they pay differently. So the rate of tax is also there. Now in this scenario, what we need to, the URA will ask you is, give me your receipts. If you don't have, they will assume you've earned less than this. So they charge you to tax on that figure.
There are these goods that you don't have to keep receipts. Now, okay, let me just imagine I have a small shop, a retail shop. I am selling drinks, all that kind of stuff. And there are chances of me being overcharged.
Yes.
I saw cooking oil of 200 shillings, matchbox of 100 shillings. So keeping all these receipts like 100.
No, not per se. I didn't say that.
You keep the receipts of
you
the
could
goods you purchase.
Yes, if you go to purchase those things to restock, of course you get receipts.
Yeah.
Those are what we look at, what the law will look at. Not you sell chikumi, you give what receipt? No. But when you're buying them in bulk, you have receipts. But also, there are disadvantages to this tax. You might end up paying more tax, yet actually what you've earned is less. Okay? Oh, yes. Now, in that case, the law provides for you. This is optional. Under subsection 5, I think 6, section 4, subsection 6, where a taxpayer has kept his records, you can apply in writing to the Commissioner General so that you are treated as any other ordinary taxpayer and you are assessed on your returns you filed. That is if you have kept your receipts, you have your records. Yes. So in that case, if you have made less money and you have your records kept, you can be treated as any other taxpayer, not on presumptive basis. As the word says, it is presuming, we are presuming that you've made this because of your problem of not keeping records. So keep the records, we don't apply this.
People say that Uganda has high taxes. For example, cars are cheap from Japan to Mombasa, but their taxes are too abnormal in Uganda. What is your take on such policies?
Okay. I don't think taxes are high in Uganda. No, I don't think so. You see, that question, you've only picked one set of tax, import duty, okay? And you're saying taxes are high. What about other areas, other taxes that we have talked about? Are you also complaining that OTT is too much?
Yes,
it's just too much. Okay, okay.
We haven't reached there.
Okay,
we have OTT.
Okay.
Yes.
Excise import duty is charged under East African Customs and Management Act, also under excise duty. The government comes up with these taxes to regulate a certain thing. Okay? I will tell you, if you're importing a car which was made in 2018, you're likely to pay less taxes. If you're importing a car of 1995, not even 1995, this one recently of 2003, because the current law is that you should not import more than 15 years ago. Now 2007, that is 13. 2005, 15 years. So now that's where the taxes are high. That I agree with you. Those taxes are put in place to minimize, to regulate the effect of the dangers that comes with old cars. You know, an old car has been used, the environment will be going to suffer those things. That is why you can say that the taxes are high. It is intentionally meant to restrict those kind of import into the country. Okay?
Yes, Council, you talked of OTT and we have mobile money taxes, and yet we understand, according to your explanation, taxes are supposed to be paid on incomes. By now, OTT, I'm not earning. Mobile money, like I've received, but it might not be necessarily that's for business. Maybe it's for domestic. I want to have lunch. I have to like such kind of expenses. This isn't a revenue, or I'm earning. Why do you think OTT should be paid, or mobile money taxes and other related taxes around ICT Because you understand, I buy phones, I buy airtime is taxed. At the same time, OTT I'm paying. Like a lot of taxes around there. Do you think, and okay, what is your take on such taxes?
Unfortunately, my decision doesn't matter on whether you pay the tax or not. But OTT, it's over the top tax. It's basically, it came as a result of the amendment to Excise Duty Act. Now, when you're dealing with statutes, tax basically, you have to be careful on which law enables you to pay that tax. Okay? OTT is as a result of Excise Duty Amendment Act. Now, excise duty is basically tax on luxuries. Okay? Beers, airtime, you can do without those things. Tax on luxury. Okay? I don't think my view will help you in as far as you paying the tax is concerned. A tax, once a law has been passed, you have to comply. Whether you like it or not, you have to pay. Okay? But the government wanted to raise money for its various activities. Okay? And then they realized that if they charge you for using the over-the-top services, they'll make the money. The history that led to its development aside, I may not go into that, but once a tax law has been passed, you have to comply and pay the taxes. I don't know whether...
Yes. Council, we have several voices, especially abantu ba mu byalo. For them, balowooza nti eriyo engeri gy'abanyigiriza nti bw'otunuulira, for example, wakasaluuni atandika okuwa omusolo immediately aba yakagulawo bw'ati KCCA oba local council nejja nemu value nemugamba kati gwe kusaka saloniko before even looking into the books tabamanyi oba how much he has spent or establishing bagamba kati gwe olwa 12 in your broken Luganda. I want that omuntu wa bulijjo like wakasaluni atandika owakabala nga atuna guno omwenga guno like walaje naye nga wakidomola capital wa mitwale 3 naye nga is supposed to pay tax. Ye omuntu oyo alina kwatibwa atya okusobola okulaba nti awaayo omusolo nga yagalidde?
Sorry, you will have to translate that to them in Luganda because I can barely construct a sentence.
Okay.
But just to put a correction to your question, KCC does not levy taxes. Okay? Tax is a preserve of the Uganda Revenue Authority. What KCC levies are what we call fees and charges. Okay? Basically, licenses.
But for us, okay?
Yes, you'll call it tax, but it's not tax per se. The only area where a local council is empowered to collect tax, not only KCC, any local council is on service tax, local service tax, under the Local Governments Act. But these other things of you want to operate a saloon, KCC come and say you first pay us registration fees and license to operate. Those are not taxes, those are licenses. Okay? Yesterday the president was putting it, I think he put it rightly, that the Gonja sellers, those ones they don't pay taxes. They pay a nominal fee, which is to acquire a license to operate.
This one that sell Gonja along the road?
Not Gonja, but he was talking about those low income, yes, along the road. Yes, if you want to have an address for you to do your businesses, get a license and then go to operate. Okay, now those money are supposed to help the local governments. You know, the money which the central government send to the local government under the decentralization policy, it's very little. It may not run the local authorities so much. So they need to generate their own
taxes,
income, revenue, yes. So they levy those fines, and the law provides for it, because they're saying if you intend to establish, let's say, an hotel, for every room, depends on the star. I think you know that. 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, depending on the star. If it is a 3-star, you pay 1,000 per room. Those are local service tax. No, per usage. If someone, yes, but eventually those money is not paid by the hotel owners. It is the people who enjoy the service that will pay. If they're charging you 10,000 a room, they will charge you 11,000, and 1,000 is supposed to be remitted to the revenue authority. That is the local service tax. But the other payments are just licenses and fines and fees, which is not tax.
Actually, one of my friends was ignorant, and he had a big retail shop, but for him he called it supermarket. So when the local government local government authorities came, they gave him license for a supermarket. He was complaining, for me mine is not a supermarket. Mine
but he's only misled the authority saying I have a supermarket. So the authority is not supposed
somebody
to...
has a restaurant, he calls it hotel. We see it in our villages that so and so hotel, but
and they even add international. So it's you who misleads the responsible authorities to charge you that way. But if you have your, let's say even if you have a big restaurant and you've called it an eatery or Nalongo's eatery, Nalongo's food, they are not going to categorize you under a 5-star hotel. It will be under that category for those fines and licenses, because the charges varies. Okay.
But why is it that after them charging me the service tax, they will still come and I thought the service tax entails the garbage collection, the cleanliness. Why do they still charge for garbage and all that kind of stuff, cleaning, the toilet and everything? I thought it all goes to the service tax.
Okay. Let me just answer that one directly. Okay.
Yes.
Garbages is your responsibility. It is not the responsibility of KCC. Just a minute. It's not the responsibility of KCC to come and ask you where are your garbages. However, KCC has come in to help you in how to manage your garbage, because if you throw it anyhow, the city will be a mess. Then they came up with the privatization policy. They have private persons collecting those garbages. Then it used to be KCC, and then we were not paying any money. Once you have your license and those things, KCC will come. Once you've put your rubbish in one position, they will come and take it. But now it has changed. We have Binit, Home Clean, several other private persons collecting these garbages. So it's only fair that someone who is doing service for you, you pay them some little money or amount of money. Okay?
Council, right over there, what does the law talk about if I'm renting on your building? I presumably, I think the money I pay for you as my rent caters for maybe urinals and toilets. But at the end of the day, I'm asked for an extra fee of such services. Yet I have.
You've paid rent.
I have paid rent. What does the law talk about around there?
The arrangement between you and your landlord is purely contract. Okay? And the law of contract tells you that there must be the meeting of the minds, consensus ad idem. It's basically a willing tenant and a willing landlord. The arrangement between you and your landlord, if you are a tenant, does not concern the authority. If in your contract, your landlord wants you to pay for those services, and you also say, I also want to pay, so why are you blaming the tax authority on that? It has nothing to do with tax.
But like, for example, here in Kampala, there are some buildings that totally things to do with electricity and toilets are not even talked about in any way.
Again, it is willing tenant and willing landlord. If you don't agree to those terms, don't go to that building. Because that is his terms. It is his building. He can actually decide to rent it out to you, or he can decide I'm not renting it to you. Isn't that so? So it's basically his building. He decides what he wants to do with this building. However, it should not be excessively extortionate. just a fair dealing principle. It should not be extortionate, because you will find someone. Let's assume it's the only rental in that area, and is charging exorbitantly high amount. So it shouldn't be extortionate. But basically, it's willing renter, willing landlord.
As we go to the break, we've seen where landlords, I pay, for example, 100,000 as my rent, but my landlord issues a receipt of 50,000. But in our contract, I pay 100, and I know that. But because he wants to dodge and cheat the government in revenues, that person issues a lesser receipt. Who is affected here in these scenarios?
Tax-wise, it should be both of you, because you're all committing an offense. Under the Tax Procedure Code Act, there are offenses which are provided for. Aiding and abetting is an offense. Like you said, you pay 100,000 and you also receive a receipt of 50,000. You are equally guilty as your landlord.
Still
okay?
On the landlord. If it is my building, I have the right to exploit the tenants, provided it is my building and the law does not...
No, it's contract. Freedom of contract. Nobody should influence how you enter your contract.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's freedom of contract. Now
this law is not fair. We are going into a short break. You are still watching the Night Drive to come out.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
This is a time where there is a lot of violence. For example, police brutality. A lot of you are being beaten up, the voters and the people from the opposing side. So election is just that period where we get free money.
An election is a process through which people choose to vote a person or a group of people to hold an office of leadership.
Did you know that you have the power to determine on who leads you?
Did you know that your vote has the power to change your society and the country at large?
Dear citizens, please vote wisely. Don't vote money, but vote issues.
Dear parents, I can't make any decision.
Your choice determines my future.
Fellow students, exercise your right. Go and vote.
Abafumbira mwese muzaze tugende tutera karuru.
Abanyayuganda mwena mugende mutera karuru.
Bashange face yihule kuche hodole.
Abantu nyana mujje tugende tukome.
Genda olonde.
Your vote.
My vote.
Our vote is our present and our future.
Uganda is born again.
Mubirabye. Mubiwulidde.
And you will see what NRM means. We are going to crush those criminals.
Mubyenyigiddemu.
We are simply peacefully telling our people, say no to rigged elections.
Ebimu mubitegeera.
Naffe tusobola okutiisatiisa abo abatiisatiisa.
Oba oli awo ng'abamu mugwamu bigwe. Byabaffe byava ku ki?
Era kyova olaba baatukolera ne constitution esinga obusiru mu nsi yonna.
Bino n'ebirala birindirire buli lwa Sande okuva ku ssaawa 11 okutuuka ku ssaawa 1 ey'akawungeezi n'eyaliko Katikkiro wa Buganda Oweekitiibwa Dani Muliika ku program Eriiso ly'Omukulu ku Facebook page The Alternative Uganda.
Abanyayuganda bagenzi banje ombwire obu obw'okulonda karuru nitubashaba okukuma obusinge omu maka n'omu bicweka byaitu n'obujunaanizibwa bwaitu okumaraho obutabanguko omu maka nitubiijusya okwetanta ekirwe kya COVID-19 obwe nimukuratira okuhaburwa kwa Minisitule y'Ebyamagara. Obutumwa obu nibukwihikibwaho Uganda Women Parliamentary Association UWOPA na UN Women n'obushagi kikuruga omu EU Spotlight Initiative.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
It is the Alternative Digitalk. It is always real issues, real talk. We have the council in the studios. Lero siwa human rights, siwa civil tulina wa tax yakuguka mu taxes, twogera taxes gwali mu kizimbe obadde omanyi bye twogerako gwe obitegedde nti landlord wo alimenti okugamba nti ne bw'osasula rent amasannyalaze ogenda gasasula wesasulire kuba bwe biri wesasulire kasasiro osasule ne musajja wa toilet ne kirina nno alongoosa ekizimbe so ate bagamba amateeka ye tegamukubako because wakiriziganya no signing a contract nti ogenda bikola so banaye amateeka ga Uganda nzawenda biradda tegali fair to a common person but council we hear about tax holidays. What is a tax holiday to a common person? Someone who is watching us would really want to know what a tax holiday is.
As the word says, a holiday. What is a holiday? Hey, you rest, go and rest.
So who qualifies for a tax holiday?
Before we go to who qualifies, a tax holiday is basically a brief stop for you to stop, a brief stop which is given to, it's an incentive given to someone to not pay tax for a given period of time. Okay? The responsibility is with the Ministry of Finance to assess and see who is allowed to be given a tax holiday. But the policy in Uganda is that the investors, these new investors coming in, they should be given tax holidays for them to first settle. Okay, then they start taxing them afterwards. Okay, so you apply, but basically tax holidays is for new taxpayers or for old taxpayers, but they are venturing into a new business arrangement, which the government may have a benefit
Be it a local investor or
yes,
foreign.
even a local investor. Even you now, if you start your business, you can apply for a tax holiday. And if the ministry finds that you are qualify to receive it, they will grant it to you.
So if I do not apply, I do not get a tax holiday.
No,
it
you
is
don't.
through your application.
You have to apply. If you don't apply, you don't get. They don't just come out of the blue and say.
What determines someone who qualifies for a tax holiday and that one who doesn't qualify?
I had told you, the first qualification is it's a new investment coming in. But because of the taxes heavy on you, they want it waived for a given period of time. Secondly, you're offering an arrangement or a business that the government is very interested in. Agriculture, for example.
Yes.
They are always given a tax holidays. You look at there are farmers up country. I've been grateful enough to have traveled the country a bit. There are some up country places which has real farms. Now those people who just come and start that, they're given tax incentives, those tax holidays.
If I am a farmer and I have a farm, I have experienced a long drought, can I apply for a tax holiday because I didn't?
Not as such, but not a holiday. You don't call it a holiday, but something we call an exemption. Yes, for that period of time. You apply that you'll be exempted and you attach your reasons. That is the ministry again will look at it, and if your reasons are genuine. For example, COVID came in and attacked a lot of businesses, and most of them are running down because of these taxes.
Yes.
But you apply for exemptions, and clearly, like COVID, everyone understands the reason why you may not be doing well because of COVID. We have all been home, we have not been working, except for the few essential workers. We've all not been working, so that one can be understandable.
Yes, Council. If I'm compliant and I pay my taxes genuinely, the government, all of my books of account are clean for like the last 5 or 10 years. Does the law talk of me having a benefit, an applause, appreciation, resumption? What does the law talk about a business person or a Ugandan or a citizen who pays his taxes in time and in its appropriateness?
Okay, there are quite a number of benefits of paying your taxes on time. You earn tax credits, for one. You escape prosecution. You escape paying penalties, fines and penalties. Now, a tax credit is, I don't know how I can explain it, but there is some benefit you get in monetary value that can be used to offset the amount of tax you're supposed to pay in the next financial year. For example, if you have 1 million as a tax credit in this financial year, next year, after the tax has been assessed, you pay less than the tax credit which has been assessed. So there are quite a benefit of paying your taxes on time. Most importantly, the roads will be worked on. You will pay your MPs. You pay your president is running. How many convoys? He's running with 25 cars. You fuel his car. Those are the benefits. You don't want your president to be driving in a
private jet.
Not a private jet per se, but a single car. He has to be protected. So that aside, but there are some benefits that you get out as a result of paying your taxes on time. Keep your records. For example, you also benefit privately. The stress of the URA coming to disorganize you, seal your door, confiscate your property, all those things are avoided. So those are the benefits you get as a result of paying your taxes promptly.
Council, these days we have financial intelligence agencies and laws of finance, money laundering, this and that. When do I know that it seems the amount of money I'm receiving or I'm spending might cause me problems?
You see, under the Financial Intelligence Authority Act, there are so many offenses created as a result of money. You see, as the country develops, also technologies develop, also terrorism advances.
Yes.
I don't know whether you were in Kampala in 2010. You've heard of the bombings.
Yeah.
That was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. Had we been strict enough on how to regulate our finances coming in the country, that should have been avoided. Secondly, we also need to limit the amount of money which comes into circulation to avoid inflation. Okay? Imagine an individual who is not working, has no known business registered in his names, is receiving $1 million. You open an account today,
tomorrow money
lands in the account, and is withdrawing the whole of it. Doesn't that raise questions?
Yeah, true.
Clearly it raises questions. But that aside, not any money you receive should land you into trouble. Okay? If you can justify, under the current system, any money that comes into your account, which is not proportionate to your earnings, should be investigated. Why are you receiving that kind of money? And what is the reason? In most cases, you don't access that money. They'll first tell you, bring as a reason why you need the money. Unfortunately, it's unfair, I know, but it's your money.
It is my money.
Yes, it's your money, you need to get it, but
justify.
The need for the protection of the greater public is more important than your personal needs. Okay? You may need the money urgently, but what about other people? As we cannot leave anything to chance. We can assume you want to finance terrorism. Then lives will be lost. The greater good of the public is more important than your private needs.
Why is it that every that money that is received, that you say it is too much, you you link it to terrorism. People want
no.
to finance terrorism and
No. That was one of the reasons I brought forward.
Is there a specific amount of money that people shouldn't exceed to receive on their account?
No.
Like individuals, for example,
no.
I've never received, in my life, I've never received 20 million at once. But now, my brother Ochitti is in America, he's building a house in the village, and he collected his money and sent me 80 million at once on my account. Then, and it's now blocked.
Yes. Now, there is no caption that you should not exceed more than this. It's not there. You can receive any amount of money whoever is sending you sends you. Okay?
Yes.
But we need to, if it is not proportionate to your earnings, first of all, there is an offense called unjust enrichment under the Anti-Corruption Act. That aside, but if the money is not proportionate to your earnings.
I've never earned 20 million in my life.
Like you've said.
Yes.
You've never earned 20
once
million.
in my life.
Doesn't it also, you cast to yourself, doesn't it raise concern to yourself?
But now my brother in the West.
Yes, let's the reason aside. But let's assume there is no reason yet. Okay?
Okay.
I'm the bank.
Yes.
I have received the money. I'm empowered by the Financial Intelligence Authority Act.
Mark has never even landed, received the 500,000 to us.
Yes.
And now I'm receiving
80 million. I am supposed to investigate. I don't just release the money to you. Okay? As the bank, I don't know why you need the money. As the government, we don't know why you received the money. That's the basics. If you agree to that, that's the basics. We don't know why you received the money. Now we're going to ask you.
Why?
Why did the money come
and why
to you?
Why do you want to take it at once?
Exactly. Now, if you have reasons of receiving the money, like you've said, someone is building in the village, he's in the States, he sends you money. That statement is enough for them to release you the money.
So if I have that amount of money that you think is not right, and I am withdrawing in bits, 10, 2, 3, is it allowed?
No.
You will not question me?
Yes and no. At some point, if it is not so grossly disproportionate to your earning, it will not be questioned. But still, even if, now you said you've never received 20 million.
20 million at once. In my
100 million lands into your account.
And
they block it there then.
Just a red flag will be put on your account. Countrywide, you cannot actually worldwide, you cannot withdraw the money.
So, and not until you clear it.
Until you've given us an explanation as to why you received the money and what would be the use. But it's simple to justify. Sale agreement, you want to buy land. Someone else wants to buy land through you. Sale agreement, you attach it. The document used to send the money, they're there. Reason put, sale of land, purchase of land. That one is reason enough for them to release you the money. But when the money lands, you have no explanation. Clearly,
even the sources are not clear.
Not clear. Money laundering. That's what money laundering is about. In most cases, those are proceeds of crime. A crime has been committed somewhere. The money is being cleaned through another person. That's money laundering, and it's against the law.
But the council, we normally experience, for example, Samuel Ochitti and his company have been spending like 500 million per like after 3 months. Okay, their business, we know their flow of money. By now, last week, he withdraws maybe 1 billion shillings, and we know his account has like 3 trillions. Now, can government come out and block my account? That's why I decided to withdraw 1 billion. Yet, for the last 5 years, I've been withdrawing. Because we saw it recently, though the case is in court, but we saw it, the government is charging someone for withdrawing 340 on account that has been for the last many years. And they're claiming that he never filed returns in a withdrawal of October. Illegally, what does it talk about? Withdrawals and expenditure. When do I file my returns? When, amounts received and spent on in October, and I'm now being charged in December that I did file returns.
I'm going to try very hard not to delve into what is in court.
Yeah.
Because of the sub judice rule.
Yes.
Let the law take its course. I personally, for once, believe in our court systems. it's not that bad compared to other arms of government.
Maybe you for commercial laws maybe like
Yes.
it's not bad, but criminal courts
Even
they complain
criminal,
and civil.
no, even criminal. You see, the problem is personal beliefs. When it touches so close to the heart, you feel it is against you. When it doesn't, you're saying it is good. Okay? What are our laws, for example, in criminal proceedings? Criminal proceedings starts from arrest. Once a person has been arrested, it's supposed to be presented in court. The mandate to charge someone with an offense strictly lies with the DPP. And it's not supposed to be subjected to any interference from any person. Now, if the DPP says, we have a case, nobody is supposed to come and say, drop those cases. That is provided for in the Constitution, okay? Now, those are the mandate, and those are the criminal processes. Once a person has been arrested, he has been presented to court, he is awaiting criminal trial. He's supposed to be in custody. That's what the law says. Unless they are released on bail. Okay? That's what the law says. Now, it will be grossly unfair for me to come and say he has no case, yet I have no right whatsoever to determine whether that person has a case or not. So that aside, I'm not going to delve so much into
the nitty-gritties of the case.
What is in the court. It's in court. Let the court do their things. If they find that there are no enough evidence to pin him for that criminal case, they will set him free. But if there is something which I don't know, court will determine, okay? But that aside, as I told you before, these finances must be proportionate to your earnings. You've given that example, your account has billions, trillions, for example. On one day you go and withdraw 1 billion. That shouldn't raise a question, okay? But there are other things that raises questions, okay? Now let me stop there. I was going to delve into that to that court case, but that court case, it has its merits and demerits, which we can discuss for another day.
Counsel, now, do you think the law is fair if you're demanding me your money? I agreed to pay you maybe in June, but to date I have not paid. Then I'm taken to courts of law. The court sends me to Luzira. That you demanding me, you feeding me in Luzira, not until I pay you. But remember, I have not paid it not because I don't want, but I don't have. So do you? What's your take on you paying, catering for somebody that you demand, but is on remand, or maybe he has been sentenced until he pays me for 2 years? I'm buying lunch, everything. What's your take on?
Correction, it is supposed to be for 6 months only.
Okay, 6 months.
But you see, have you been to prison?
Personally,
you have not.
I just went on police station.
Yes, but how is the feeling at the police station?
Of course,
it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, it's not.
I've also landed at the police station for a traffic offense at some point. But the basics is that the reason why they put you into those prisons is to punish you, to look for that money.
But I'm remorseful. I'm willing to pay.
No, just let me finish. Let me finish.
Yes.
If you owe someone money, okay? Let's imagine. Let's give a practical example. You owe me 5 million shillings. Okay, 20 million shillings. Okay. You said you pay me.
I said in June.
In June you will pay me.
But things didn't work out like expected.
Fine.
I came explain.
You explain to me. I will definitely understand. Give you an extension for a month or 2. You don't pay.
Yes.
I will ask my lawyer to write to you. Instruction to sue. Giving you 14 days within which to pay.
Like trying to threaten me so that if I have something,
you don't pay the money. I take you to court. You have no defense. You say, I don't have the money. That's not a defense.
But I'm willing to pay.
Yes, it is okay. Then you admit. If you're willing to pay, you admit. We go into schedules. Court will give you, okay, how much? Court will ask you, how long do you think you can pay the money?
In 2 years.
In 2 years.
Okay.
Fine. Court will give you 2 years. After 2 years, you have not paid the money. Will I be wrong if I arrest you?
No.
Of course I will not be. Now, why am I arresting you? It's to put you in custody. Custody is the biggest punishment you'll ever get. Someone who has restricted your movement, your access to the basics human rights. No phone, no nothing. You eat food. Is it twice a day or 3 times a day? I don't know. But
twice.
Exactly. What kind of food are you eating? Okay. Much as people think sitting in one position may not be a punishment, but custodial sentence is the biggest punishment you will ever see. Now, once you're there, you will reflect on how to get that money. Okay, that's why they give you only 6 months. It's not more than that. And also, because it's a private arrangement between you two, the government should not be feeding the prisoner. That's why you is going to arrest him.
You're not a state property.
No, it's not a state property. You are a private person. The government is only helping you to keep you there. It should be kept at your cost, at the person who is arresting cost. So if the arresting person, actually they pay, I think, 3,000 per day, times the number of days is going to be in the prison. So when you come out, trust me, actually even when you're there, when they're visiting you, if you have an asset somewhere, in the first week you'll get tired to say, you know what,
you sell this
property.
What if I decide and I'm like, okay, I am going to spend these 6 months here, but I will not pay?
It has ever happened.
Now you decided that this is I've reached here. If he's demanding me 50 millions, end of business, let me finish my 6 months, and I go back free.
Unfortunately, you will think that way, but yes, it has ever happened. In cases of huge sums of money.
You will still charge me after?
No. You see, taking you to prison does not clear the debt.
Hey.
Okay?
I thought
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It is only to put you there to pay the money. Putting you in prison does not clear the debt. The debt remains. So if you come out, you still owe me money. Okay? Now, the advantage is that I cannot take you back to prison again. Because of that debt. Okay? I cannot. It just ends there. You've served your 6 months. I have fed you even from there. And the money for feeding you is supposed to be added on the money you owe me. Okay? So you don't think I'm paying, you're enjoying my money alone. You're also going to be paid back at some point. So now we wait. We wait for any asset you get. We relax. 5 years down the road, you might think I've forgotten about my debt. You buy a vehicle.
I get a court order
immediately. No, court order is already there. By the time you're taken to prison, there is already a court order. So court order until it is satisfied, it stays pending.
I just bring my wanyondos, my bailiff.
Attach it. Sell it to recover your money.
Now, counsel.
But before we go, at school, at law school, we teach students modes of execution. Clearly, arresting someone should be a last resort. It should be really last. There are other avenues where you can recover this money other than arresting someone. In any case, arresting someone does not even take away the debt. It worsens it.
The situation.
So, look for his properties, attach it. If it is not there, look for any other thing you can attach and sell other than putting someone in jail. We normally don't teach that. But obviously, that's the only language that people listen in town, arresting. But it's not the best mode of getting your money back.
So once you arrest me and take me to prison, I spend my 6 months. When I come back, it should be me to say, okay, I have to pay you your debt. You cannot take me anywhere now.
Not anywhere. I cannot take you back to prison.
But you can take me to police.
No, police. You see, police is criminal. When it comes to civil matters, police is not even supposed to be involved. Criminal only. Now, if you owe me money, for me, I'll work with my bailiffs around, monitoring you.
Eyes on you.
Eyes on you. Have you acquired any asset? Today you're driving what? A BMW.
Is it yours?
Is it yours?
Once I establish that it's yours, but it's,
I attach it.
But some other people have tendencies. If Mr. Ochidi demands me, when I'm buying a car, it's in the names of my wife. So throughout my life, I will never have a property. Well, once you attach it, it's my wife. It's from my son. It's my daughter. So how do you handle such a situation?
It's unfortunate. yes, those situations are there. Actually, it's everywhere. It's prevailing, I should say.
Yes.
But now there is a mechanism for recovering the money in that format through insolvency proceedings. Okay. There is something what we call inability to pay debt.
But now it means they are not declaring me bankrupt.
No, that's a step towards declaring you bankrupt. We have tried all possible means to recover the money and we have failed. I can proceed under bankruptcy proceedings, not with the idea of receiving the money, recovering the money, but to declare you bankrupt. And you don't want to be declared bankrupt.
No one wants.
It's very ugly. But that's aside. If you are declared bankrupt, it means you can't run your estate. Okay. Now your estate goes to someone we call a trustee. Now a trustee is supposed to manage everything in your estate, including debts, liabilities, and assets. Okay? Now, if you owe me 20 million, I become a creditor to the estate. Now, for me, I will not go to you. I will go to the trustee. This guy has my money. I want to recover my money. Now, the trustee is supposed to look at the estate. What asset does the estate have? Does the estate have cash? Does it have properties? Obviously, like you've said, all the properties you're buying is in the names of your wife,
my sons,
your
daughters.
Your daughters. But under the Insolvency Act, there are certain transactions that are avoided. Now, avoiding means terminating those transactions and bringing back the asset to the estate. Yes. Now, the trustee has duties to do that. For example, you bought land in your names, you transferred it immediately to your wife. The trustee will avoid that, say, you know what, the estate has liabilities, bring back that property, we sell it, so that we can pay the creditors. Okay?
So when do I, in this process, when do I hand over my property to the trustee or powers of attorney? If I know already that what I'm in, my target is, it seems I'm no longer able to pay. Now I want to transfer powers of attorney, the power of trustee to somebody else. And now I began the process of transferring my...
You see?
So does the law work retrospectively, or it begins from where?
No, the law begins, the principle of law in Uganda is that law does not act retrospectively. It starts from the day it became law. But with exceptions. For every general rule, there is an exception. Okay? There is nothing which is a rule and it has no exceptions. There are certain exceptions. Now, the exception in the Insolvency Act is to nullify transactions entered prior, 2 years actually, they say 2 years prior to the commencement of the bankruptcy proceedings. Now that's where it comes in, the exception comes in. There are also other exceptions that comes in, okay? But you talked about power of attorney. Power of attorney is a different document that doesn't apply in bankruptcy proceedings.
Okay.
Once a bankruptcy order is given by court, your estate, you just hand it over without conveyance. The law says the estate is handed over to the trustee without the need of conveyance.
So who chooses the trustee? Who picks?
Well, that's an entire process.
Okay.
You apply to court, your creditors hold a meeting, they appoint someone, you also part of the meeting, or your representative, you're part of the meeting, they appoint a trustee, then a trustee now accepts. A trustee must be an insolvency practitioner. Insolvency practitioners are lawyers, accountants, chartered secretaries. They are provided for in the Act. So if they appoint one, you can also nominate, but you don't have the right to appoint. You nominate so and so to be your trustee. But the creditors will see that shall our interest be covered if we accept this person, then they accept. But the right to choose is with the creditors.
So in the process that the trustee that we agreed upon is compromised on either of the sides, maybe from the debtor or the creditor. What does the law talk about?
No, they are not supposed to be compromised because they have duties. Trustees have duties. Okay? And it is your duty to take interest in the estate you're managing. to make sure that the interests of the bankrupt is catered for. And also, not everything is supposed to be attached to sold off. There are certain things that are not supposed to be attached. For example, salary, you can only attach a few if he's unemployed, a person is employed. You only attach a portion of the salary because he also has to survive. Okay? His matrimonial home, you cannot sell it. His personal belongings, clothes, tools of trade. He's an accountant. He has a laptop. You can't pick that. That is how he earns his livelihood. So those are things that should not be. But the trustee is not supposed to be compromised. There are also offenses. If you mismanage the estate of the bankrupt, you are personally liable. And mind you, these trustees or insolvency practitioners, they are required to execute insurance. It's called professional indemnity insurance, to cover any loss or liability that may arise from the management of the estate of the bankrupt. Okay? So it's not that you're supposed, they can, either way, somewhere the estate of the bankrupt is also paramount, supposed to be catered for before the other creditors can come in.
So, Counsel, when do I regain my initial status after, if I'm declared a bankrupt and I'm in a bankruptcy state? When and how do I legally regain my initial status if all these debts are cleared by maybe my trustee, or I managed to, in the process of working, I raised this and that and I cleared myself? What does the law talk about regaining status?
Under the Insolvency Act, a bankruptcy order remains until court discharges you. Okay? You can apply to court to be discharged when your estate is now fairly off. But there's a lot of disadvantages, because once you've been declared bankrupt, there are many things you can't do. For 10 years, you can't hold a public office, you can't run for elections, you can't be a director in a company, you can't. There are so many things that come with it for 10 years. So that's a lot of punishment. But the law provides that once you are ready, you apply and court discharges you from bankruptcy. It's unlike in companies. Companies, once you are insolvent, you are wound up. And that's the end of it. There is no recovery. It just goes like that.
So now, back to organizations or companies. I have a company and it's non-profit making, and all my earnings or my survival, my sustainability is I depend on grants, I depend on giveaway, like my goodwill. Somebody's like, hey, I love your work, get this.
Basically
donations. How do okay, even if I do some business, some little business, but majorly it's not aimed at making profits. How does the return filing talk about or treat me, who is not targeting making profits?
Basically, there are non-governmental organizations. You and as individual, as a company?
No, I might be me and you. We establish an organization.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the day-to-day running of the organization, we depend on Farida giving us, Jeremiah, goodwill and donations, and maybe some small business that come in.
Yes, there are non-governmental organizations that are tax exempted. As a matter of fact, most NGOs are exempt organizations. Okay? The process of exemption, you apply for it, you get it, but the major issue is that you don't do money-making ventures. How do we know you don't do it? We believe on your documents that you filed with the company registry. You know, an NGO must to be a company. You first have to register a company. You don't do it alone. When you're registering, there's something we call memorandum of association. Now, that memorandum lays down all the objectives of why you are establishing the NGO. None of it should be money-making venture. Okay? If it is not, then you can qualify for that exemption. Yes. You apply to the Commissioner General in consultation with the Minister of Finance. You are given a tax exemption. Now, when you've been given tax exemption, you don't pay taxes on certain activities. Not all of it you shouldn't pay tax. Okay? You are required, for example, to withhold taxes. If you have employees, you withhold taxes.
NSSF?
No, NSSF is not a tax. Those are contributions. But pay as you earn, you withhold it. If you're paying for services, for example, you've hired a lawyer to do for you some work and he has given you a fee note. Accountants, you've given you a fee note. Before you pay, you're supposed to withhold 6% as withholding tax for services under Section 119 of the Income Tax Act. You remit to government. Those are taxes. Much as it is not you paying, but you are collecting on behalf of government and paying to the government.
Now, in that process, our company, we are not aiming at making profits, but Farida has his organization. Want maybe, for example, maybe a media house. We know that it's a church media house, and in the educational books, it's supposed to be non-profit making. But Farida company comes in wants to advertise with that media house.
What kind? No. A media house is already a money-making venture.
Yes, but like in books of registration,
it will not pass. You see, the registrars are also lawyers. They know all these things. If you want to make an NGO, there is nothing that's supposed to be money-making in it. Media houses are money-making ventures. Once you put it there to open up a radio station, they'll just circle it and say, this cannot pass. You remove this objective if you want it to go.
But we've seen some media houses, totally. No any other business, just church work only.
Like which one?
We've seen like Glorious Times of Kubiri.
Don't they do adverts?
No, just church business, church. Not even COVID.
Maybe yes. But if you say that, if they don't do
anything, yes.
But ordinarily, you see, the first question I raised was, this is a money making. That's a presumption everyone has. A TV station. Actually, I'm surprised to hear it for the first time.
You run adverts.
That's money making. Money making.
But of course, for Glorious, totally. No, you never see, even if it's means of advert. Maybe when it's from within.
What is Glorious Time?
No, it's
the one for Pastor Kakande.
Yes. Maybe if it's that COVID message is from within the organization, that's from the church. Keep these soaps, but not that outside.
Okay.
So, like I was asking for like such a person, how does they treat that organization or company or that video?
Okay, once a company is opened up, you're supposed to satisfy the few requirements. You submit your applications to be exempted from paying tax on the reason that you are a non-money making, non-money making business entity. An entity rather, not a business. So you'll put in your documents, okay? Until you've been cleared or exempted from paying tax, you're not accepted from paying tax. You pay the taxes.
So the government is upon the government and the authorities to clear your application, to follow your applications and what you submitted, to see whether you fulfilled it, so that they can clear you.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, in an event that we know that the organization is doing business, but registration is non-profit making. How does the government treat the balance? If maybe
there is no balance, you're either non-profit taking or you're profit taking. There is no balance. Okay, that is where most of our colleagues are getting problems. And you see the problem of, I know lawyers are expensive. Everyone will want to do it with lawyers, but you can't do it with lawyers all the time. It will become very expensive for you in the long run. Okay. It is cheaper to have a lawyer, but it's not cheap to have a lawyer, like someone says. Okay? I hope you get the meaning what I'm saying. You'll go to any other person, open for a company. Okay? Yet in your mind, you want an NGO, a company which is non-profit making. The person doesn't know the differences. Okay? Yes. I will do for your company. For you, you have your company. because you also not learn it, like they say, in the law. For you, because in your mind you told them you want a non-profit
making.
You think you're also doing. You have a company which is
non-profit making.
Non-profit making. You go and start business. You doing business in the view that you're not profiteering. Then assessment comes. We want you to pay tax. You say no, but this is not. Then now, once there is a problem, clearly you cannot handle a tax dispute without a lawyer or without an accountant or a tax practitioner. You have to now look for a lawyer, and they will charge you highly more than they should have charged you in the beginning, when you could have streamlined those ideas, those problems.
So meaning, if I have a business, for as long as I receive anything that is on a contract that I'm supporting you A, B, C, D to execute, or that is going to help you, totally now I'm in a business.
Not as such.
Could you, counsel, please differentiate for us a company limited by shares and a company limited by guarantee, because we've had the energy owner.
Yes. Let me start from the basics. Company law. What is a company? A company is a legal entity formed by two or more. That was the then definition. Now, even one person can make a company. Yes.
Which
now,
can be sued and we can sue and be sued.
And be sued. So it's called sole corporate personality. Okay. Now, company does not exist on its own. There are brains behind it. There are owners, shareholders. Okay. A share is a unit in a company. It is always monetarized. Is in value. It has monetary value. Okay. Let's take an example. A company. Now, that's why the difference is a company which is limited by shares. Then there will be a company limited by guarantee. Now, what's the difference? Now, the difference is in liability. Okay? While forming the company, we know that you have 50 shares, the other has 100 shares. Okay? Now, those shares are your contributions to the company. And we could say each share takes 10,000 shillings or 1 million shillings, depending on how you want it. Okay? Now, in a company limited by guarantee, there are no shares, but there are guarantors. We guarantee this amount of money for the benefit of the company. Okay? Now, in the event of liability, okay? In the event of liability, the company has come up, has borrowed money, has failed to pay the money. Okay? They'll come for the guarantors in a company limited by guarantee and shareholders in the company limited by shares. But your liability is limited to the amount of money you owe the company.
So a company limited by guarantee doesn't qualify to be a not-for-profit?
No, it is. Basically, it's where I'm coming. It's where I'm coming. I'm still differentiating these two companies. Okay? Now, a company limited by shares, as I told you, for profit making. There are stakeholders who stand to benefit. If the company makes profits, they stand to benefit. Whereas a company limited by a guarantee, there is no profit. It's for the benefit of the general public. But there are people who are coming to say, you know what, in case well-wishers who don't have any benefit in the company, they'll come and say, in case the company maybe is in trouble, we can guarantee that we shall pay this much money. Okay, that's what we call limited by guarantees. Also, there are others which has share capital and at the same time limited by guarantee, which I think we can discuss another time. Yeah. But a company limited by guarantee is the one which is not for profit. It's for charitable purposes, charitable work.
So at the end of the day, if maybe out of well-wishers, out of the revenues, the balance I get as organization by guarantees, if I get that balance, would it be profit? And I distribute to communities, vulnerable groups. What does the law talk about me filing my returns and taxes? If there would be profits now, since
I see you really want us to talk about the court case. Okay. Under the NGO Bureau, there's a statute which provides for that. For just for purposes of regulation, any NGO or all NGOs are supposed to file returns as any other company. Now, the return you file with the NGO Bureau is to tell the NGO Bureau how your NGO is operating. For example, you've received 1 billion and you've spent it. How did you spend it? Give us a yes. Now you've received in the last 2 years you've received over 20 billion. We don't know how you've spent it. That is an offense. The offense is on the guarantors or the shareholders of the companies or the officers of the company.
Let's talk about the taxation policies in Uganda. As a tax practitioner, does the taxation policy in Uganda create room for development for young entrepreneurs?
I would say yes, it does. You see, there are so many advantages to starting a business in Uganda tax-wise. Okay? There are so many incentives to encourage people to come and develop. But people are not exploiting that. Because at the beginning,
they do not know.
and as I said in the beginning, ignorance of the law is not a defense.
Could you please enlighten the viewers and us in here?
You cannot say you don't know to justify your actions. Once a law has been passed, it's actually advertised in the Gazette, which is accessible by very few people. Once it has been advertised, it is public knowledge. You have to know it, or you ought to know it. But there are so many incentives, as I was saying. For example, if you put a machinery, the whole thing is supposed to be deducted of almost 50% within the radius of 60 kilometers outside Kampala, in some instances 80%. Those are deductions. There are still other deductions. If you're doing agricultural inputs, you basically don't pay any tax. You are importing. There are some zero-rated products under VAT Act. You don't pay VAT on them. For example, sanitary towels, you're exporting them from abroad, you don't pay any taxes on them. Okay? So, in my understanding, yes, the law provides enough incentive.
In your view, the taxation policy in Uganda does not require any reforms now?
Not really. We see law is dynamic. It changes with time. With time it changes. The taxes Uganda is one of the countries that pride itself so much in its tax system. Yes. Because if you've noticed, every year they bring new amendments. Every year. So yes, there are things that need to be changed. The advantage and disadvantages apart. Okay, the fairness apart. Law will never be fair, depending on where you're sitting. It can be fair to me, it will be grossly unfair to you. Yes, it will never be fair. Yes, we need to amend a few things. You see, a good tax system has a few characteristics. For example, collecting tax should not be more expensive than the tax being collected. That's the reason why, if you remember, graduated tax was abolished some years back, because the cost of collecting that tax was more than the tax being collected.
Yes.
Okay, my last question is, someone is in my inbox telling me to ask you what is double taxation, and in an instance where someone identifies they've been double taxed, where do they go to claim their money?
Now, I would ask that person in what instances, but nonetheless, double taxation, people normally misunderstand it. Double taxation are taxation under double taxation agreements. Okay? It normally happens in international transactions. Okay? Yes. But I am sure that person had asked in instances where money is being taxed twice or 3 times. Yes. If the law provides for it, there's nothing you can do about it. If the law says now, sometimes there is a misunderstanding in the procedures. For example, when the OTT came, taxes were being taxed. Same income was being taxed many times. For example, on mobile money, when you are depositing, they tax it. When you are withdrawing, it was taxed. When you are sending, it was taxed. Now that was unlawful. Then the Commissioner General came with something, it's called a practice notes, saying that, you know, the import of this tax is that the same money is not supposed to be taxed many times. If I have my money I have earned through employment and it has been sent to my mobile money, that should not carry many taxes in it when I'm changing it into physical cash or into float, those kind of things.
Somebody here is asking, he's called Jeremiah Muchibi. He's giving his opinion and view. He says, I think business registration should be free. What's the government charge most, especially small business scales, yet it's emphasizing tax payments. That's why many small businesses are not paying taxes due to long process registration period and the cost incurred. What's your opinion on that?
Muchibi is saying registration should be free.
Especially small businesses.
Now the challenge we have, at the time of registration, we don't know which one is small business,
which one is big,
or which one is a big business. That's the challenge we have. But nonetheless, what government takes from you when you're registering is nominal. Okay? For example, stamp duty under Stamp Duty Act is 0.5% of your share capital. If you're saying you're a small business, your share capital is 1 million shillings. Can you pay 0.5% of 1 million, which is 5,000? So that is nominal. Yes, so I don't know why Muchibi is saying the cost of...
Even the process, the procrastination, the delays...
Okay, yes, true, but the government has done some work. I don't speak for the government, but I give credit where it is due. When I started practicing some time back, I used to do the registration, and the company registry was a mess. Between 2009 and 2014, it was terrible. You could spend months without registering your company. But now, you can do it within 2 hours. 2 hours. So let's give credit also to government where it is due. They have done something. They have made it a shorter period. But the problem now, which is there, is the middlemen. There are so many middlemen in between. And those are the people who delay services. I know someone inside who do it chap chap. That's the problem. Let the process take its course, and it's actually a very short process to register a company.
As we wind up, there are challenges that many Ugandans are complaining that our technology, internet, and ICT-related services are still low. But now everything has been channeled to digital. To the extent that my mzee in Mayuge Mpunga down there doesn't know even how to use a smartphone, doesn't know how to use a laptop, even if he knows if the internet is off, is hurdle, and the technicalities of using online, for example, registering for tax identification number, all these other registration processes that are becoming hard. What's your opinion and take on the process for now?
You see, when you want to do business, there are costs that you incur in incorporating the business, and those costs are actually allowed as a deduction when you start doing business. Startup cost. Now, why would you not, if you're going to do business genuinely, why would you not sacrifice the little money and do things the right way? Personally, I also have people who don't know internet. But those people who don't know internet, at least they have someone who knows internet. Why don't you incur a little cost? It won't be much. Pay someone, pay a lawyer to do that for you. Pay a tax practitioner to do that for you. It will be nominal. As I told you, it is cheaper, but it may not be cheap. It is cheaper to... Now, if you do it yourself, you might make mistakes, which will be very gross, and it will cost you a lot of money to change it.
Yes, like for example, getting a tin. Can't I, if I'm not working, I'm not employed, but I feel like I should get my tin. You never know, tomorrow I might get a job, and maybe I don't face challenges in getting my tin. Why is it that tin is only centered on either somebody earning at that particular moment than giving me room?
No. Tin is not centered on employment or on anyone earning. Any person can register for a tin.
Because in your registration they ask you, your employer. So it's
yes, those are questions they ask.
I'm unemployed.
Yes, then you put unemployed.
But it has no option for unemployed.
No. Under the law, anybody can apply for a tin.
Because my friend went to URA, but they told that person that please,
you must be employed.
Employed. Maybe
I am not employed.
Yes,
I have a tin.
But maybe you got it long ago.
No, not long ago.
Source of income, maybe you indicated.
No, I did not. Do you know why I got a tin?
No.
Because I wanted to transfer some asset into my names. They needed a tin. So I had no employment at all. Someone gave me a gift, an asset. I wanted to transfer it into my names. They needed a tin. I saw our presidential hopeful last time, Mr. Katumba. Yes. He said he doesn't need a tin because he's not employed. No. Those people need sensitization, with due respect to Mr. Katumba. Tin does not link you to any employment. It's just that you right now knows you as a taxpayer. Now, who is a taxpayer? Any person above 18 has a duty to pay tax.
So meaning even some officials in URA are not well educated in regards to some taxes. No. This is why I'm saying like that. This person had to look for an organization to recommend him, to give him a letter that appointing for that person. I get that company should be paying salaries.
Now you see, I know where that is coming, because most employers don't pay as you earn. Actually, the employees themselves will say, I put it here, I don't pay any taxes. Even NSSF, they don't want to pay. Okay? Now they put that as, I think, as a prerequisite that, but I think it's a question they ask. Personally, I've not seen it as a compulsory area that must be there.
I'm talking about a month ago.
You must be employed to get a tin.
No, I know he wanted a tin, but getting a tin was hard. It took that person a month.
Okay, yes, the process. Okay, I don't speak for URA again, let me say that, but also the process of URA things online is also hectic. I agree with you. I have been filing returns for some people, but you put the returns, they say no, edit this part, edit this part. But if you get some, that's why I'm saying it's free. They tell you that getting a tin is free, but the process of getting a tin is not free. You have to ask someone to help you do it, because you don't know how to do it. Okay? But for purposes of employment, we need you to pay your pay as you earn. That's why the URA is asking that. Where is the employment source? Where is your source of income? Is it employment? So that we can ask your employer to pay this money, because it's not you who pays. It's your employer to pay. Much is deducted off your salary, but it's your employer who pays back to the government that money. To follow up on your employer. I believe that's the reason why.
Yes, I think it has been a good discussion. I personally, at least I've learned not 1, 2, 3, but I've learned a lot in regards to taxes and revenue evaluations. Because indeed, there are some issues that I've been just reading, seeing, observing, but without understanding it better. But having it in through and from a legal and an expert of tax, at least I've got something. So I think today it was a great discussion, and I thank whoever has been with us. I just request you to give us your winding remarks in regards to the whole discussion that we had and we're having today.
Okay, in a nutshell, I know tax pains, we don't want to pay taxes, but it's one of the most patriotic duties of...
even Jesus' time.
Even Jesus' time, he said, give what belongs to Caesar, to Caesar. So let's pay our taxes. Taxes, if you don't pay your taxes, the government cannot run. A government which is run basically on borrowing is very, very, very bad. So let's fund our government, much as we may not agree with the way they run our country, but that shouldn't take away the fact that we need to pay the taxes. Tax is a complicated but very easy area with the right assistance. As I keep saying, it is cheaper to get tax services before, other than reaching out to a tax expert or a tax practitioner after things have gotten out of hand. So in any case, if you're starting a business, ensure that you have a tax practitioner nearby, you have a lawyer nearby to advise you. Much as you like it or not, these things will catch up with you, and you will need a lawyer or a tax practitioner at any time. So it's better you start with them to advise you from the beginning going upwards. I thank you so much for the invite. Good to chat.
We are so humbled, and just request that anytime we call on you, please, I know you're very busy, but at least kindly offer us those 2 hours so that many of us who are like me, can get 1, 2, 3 lessons out of such discussions. Mbadde Mukose era nkyali Mukose Arnold Anton ne mwanyinaze Farida Bikobere kwoteeka Nabukeera Teddy Tenjo abadde mu control room nga agatagata ebifaananyi yabisula ku mpewo, kwoteeka director waffe nga atiye camera person waffe mwami Jeremiah Mukiibi, Katoto Musiime yabadde ku driving seat okulaba nti obulamu bwaffe tuli bulungi ku kkubo, kwoteeka ne signal controller omukyala Elizabeth Musitwa. Tetujja kusukka wano, Mukama Katonda abatukuumire paka enkya n'omugenyi wanatuleese. Mweraba.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Bannayuganda bannange, mu kaseera kano ng'eggwanga liri mu kusoomoozebwa kw'ekirwadde ki COVID-19, tubakubiriza okukuuma emirembe mu bitundu gye mubeera n'okukomya obutabanguko mu maka. Mwewale okukwatibwa ekirwadde ki COVID-19 nga mugoberera okulungamizibwa kwa Minisitule y'ebyobulamu naddala mu kaseera kano ak'okunoonya obululu. Obubaka buno bukutuusibwako Uganda Women Parliamentary Association UWOPA ne UN Women ne buteekebwamu ensimbi aba EU Spotlight Initiative.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues,